Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And welcome, everybody. If you're coming from the Chris Brawley, Mike Barron stream that we just did, then welcome back. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. That's the thing at the top. The thing at the bottom is the Destroyer series starring Rima Williams, on which I am currently honored to be the author. And we are going to dig into yet one more crowdfunded title tonight. Who knows? If somebody emails me, I may do a third before this night is out. I got nowhere to be. I got nothing to do. I'm happy to talk to you guys all night long. Tonight we have with us the publisher from Arachna, which is the fairly new crowdfunder here on Indiegogo. This is am I saying that right?
AI, yeah.
AI, so it's literally the two letters. All right, so how are you doing tonight, AI?
Pretty good. I'm excited about the campaign right now. It's our second day, and we're almost there. Still, I don't want to jinx anything, but we still need to kind of get past that funding goal.
That's the amazing thing, is that this is your first campaign, according to Indiegogo's page here, and you're already 73% of the way to a $5,000 goal within second day of the campaign. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean that's a testament to the people that have worked on it. You look at this picture of Arachna. I'll put the work in this campaign against anybody, whether it's DC, Marvel, Image, whatever. When you look at the interior pages, when you look at the artwork, everything, there's a very professional feel to it.
This, and I don't know if this is equivalent to the interior artwork. It might be flatter. No pun intended there. But that's got a very 3D CG kind of feel to it. Is this the cover or a cover?
Yeah, this is one of the variant covers. It's by Carlos Dottoli. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He's done a lot of work for mostly Marvel, I think, and games. I believe he's done work for also. Yeah, this is a pretty nice piece, I think. But I think if you look at some of the other covers, they're also pretty nice as well. But I'm proud of the interior artwork too. Sometimes when you look at the cover and then when you look at the interior artwork, I've been collecting comics since I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Sometimes you buy a book of the cover and then you open it up and then it just doesn't have the same feel.
Exactly. You're like, I can hang this one on the wall because I never need to read it anymore.
Yeah.
But you do have a video here, and I have warning to everybody, you and the chat, I have not watched it yet, so I'm going to play it, and we're going to, in the words of the great philosopher, this better not be porn.
There. I'm Arachna, and I am going to be the star of my very own ongoing graphic novel adventure. So, the adventure also kind of follows this girl named Jenny, who's this teeny college student, but I am her other personality. And when Jenny gets superpowers, she puts them on to me because she knows she can't handle them, and I become Arachna. Now, we would really love if you would check out our crowdfunding campaign and become a backer, because we really can't do it without you. And this is such an important project for so many talented people. And if you check out some of the levels, you can get a personal message from me if you become a backer. So I think that's kind of cool. So please check out our crowdfunding campaign. We would love to have you on board. Thanks. Freaked freak terrorizes city.
Wait till they get a load of meat.
That was fantastic.
Thanks.
I've got to get it back to the. Oh, come on, Vimeo. Trying to get it back to the regular size screen. Exit full screen. Okay, not gonna give me a button to do it. I'll just right click. I think that's the first time I've seen. First of all, a cosplay kind of cover there, and or not a cover. I'm used to those. A cosplay intro video that was very well done, and then the animation after it was that was some. You put some work into this.
Yeah, my background's in marketing and video production also. So it's one of those. It's one of those things where everything kind of worked together to kind of make this campaign happen, and I've relied on a lot of my background, in the marketing field to kind of create this. So one of the things I wanted to do was create an interesting video, because that's what's first going to get your attention. If you stumble onto our page, we don't really have we don't have a huge backing, or we haven't been around for that long. So the page has to look really good and professional, and then the video has to sell that. And I think we were able to accomplish that with this video.
Yeah, well, yeah, home run on this one for sure. And one of the things that I did notice, it's hard not to notice, you're not shying away from the sexploitation category of the adventure, which is I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm going to get this and add it to my collection. So, but it seems like it's more prevalent than it is in other stories that do it. How close to the edge do you guys take this thing?
Not much. I mean, I think part of my frustration with comics is the kind of political correctness that has kind of seeped into the industry.
Yeah, Puritanism.
It's taken it to the point, they've taken it to the other side of things, where you can't even show any kind of female form anymore. They have to be flat, almost like, you can't sexualize anything or whatever. But, we're talking about the female form. I think that's fine. If there was a male, to kind of give you a story about how comic artists used to draw and how, costumes came about. They didn't like drawing fabric. So, like, if somebody's wearing a suit, they got to draw a lot of stuff. So it'd just be easier if they drew naked people and just put, lines on them. Yeah. And that was the idea behind, like, superheroes, right?
Well, plus they wanted to show off that they could draw anatomy. That was what artists learned to draw. They didn't learn how to draw, suits and dresses.
Yeah.
They did. There were, catalog marketers and such like that.
Yeah. So it's basically you were, there's a female form, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to, I'll tell you another story. I'm originally from Pakistan, and there's a lot of censorship going on. In that country, there's a lot of censorship. What happens when you put a lot of censorship in is the society gets repressed, and they're going to go other ways. And, like, people start going other weird ways to try to get to whatever they're trying to look for. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. And, it's the female form. So what? Part of it is like a big FU to the two mainstream companies where they have gone that other way. There's this, there was that Milo Maneric cover that kind of started it all with this. Yes. I find Milo to be one of the great artists in comics, and then he gets thrown through the mud with, oh, well, the anatomy is not correct, or, who poses like that. Well, Spider-Man has done a number of poses like that. So why?
Any Todd McFarlane issue of Spider-Man.
Like, he's got his ass sticking out. So listen, when I'm looking at a Spider-Man comic or reading it, I don't give a shit that he's got his ass sticking out or whatever. It's just a cool pose. Like, I don't look at it that way. And these people kind of hijacked it and made it something it wasn't. And then you get rid of the costume, which was done by Marie Severin. I'm talking about Spider-Woman right now. It's a classic costume, and they give her this like shit costume, and now they kind of go back to the other. Now it's even worse. But it's like they're kind of painting themselves into a corner with this stuff, where it's people who don't buy your books, and you're trying to bend over backwards to kind of appease them. And the people that do buy your books, you give them the big, we don't care what turning your nose up on them and stuff. So it's, I don't know. It's just, there's people who get up and they're going to try to get offended by anything and everything. And that's what all they're trying to do. We're just trying to create a good, fun story here. And yes, I'm not afraid of using the word sexy. Nothing wrong.
I wasn't, I wasn't even focused on, the look of the character or the poses of the character. But, you see things like when she's tied down there and the laser's coming up and it's going to go straight up between her legs. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to hurt. And secondly, I can't count the number of times I've seen a male character, tied down to a buzzsaw that's coming right up the same way.
It's good that you brought that up, because that's really an homage to the Goldfinger scene with James Bond and Goldfinger. So, that's a pretty classic scene. And, again, it's part of like, as you're growing up on the website I have that I was influenced by a lot of things growing up. One of them was, James Bond. One of them was Batman with Adam West. There's a lot of things that you are influenced by, and then once you're starting to create something, you want to kind of take those influences and put it into the work you're doing. It's kind of not comparing us to Tarantino or something like that, but when you look at a Tarantino movie, and I'll bring up an example, Kill Bill, where she has that Bruce Lee outfit on.
Yeah,
it's a nod to that movie and what influenced him to make that movie, but he's actually taken it and kind of made his own kind of story version out of it. But I like throwing in kind of nods like that. So you'll see like that, the topless thing. It's a Dean Eagle's one of my favorite artists. I have books by him, and that's kind of like a nod to that. There's John Romita. There's a nod to John Romita right underneath that. The classic Spider-Man cover he did.
Sure.
And and so on. So it's just it's kind of you want to create something fun. You want to put your own kind of personality into it, and then you want to find people that can kind of bring that to life. So that's.
I'm assuming that the black bar here is for Indiegogo and that it's not actually on the book.
No, it's not on the book. It's just to kind of
perfect.
Perfect.
So the character we talked, we heard in the video here, she's got a split personality, and one of the two split personalities is a superhero. Does she know? Does her regular personality know that she has superpowers? And
well, they know that both of these personalities exist. They don't know what they're doing. So meanwhile, like if Arachna is on one of her adventures, and let's say she cuts herself or something like that, or whatever, when Jenny wakes up or comes out of that personality, she will not know how she got the cut. So it's kind of like almost like a Bruce Banner Hulk type of dynamic to it.
Sure.
I was lucky enough to get a psychiatrist on this, just to kind of ask him questions and say how DID works. So how split personalities work, and it was pretty interesting talks that we had with him. So that kind of influences this graphic novel and the story and how this goes.
Yeah, there's not many characters in comics that come to mind that have that kind of thing going on. The two that immediately spring to mind, the first one would be Mike Barron's Badger. Mike Barron was just on the stream with us, so it's right in my head, who has several multiple personalities, and one of them is the Badger, the superhero. But probably more close to home with this one would be the old DC character Rosen Thorn.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Yeah, I never really read Rosen Thorn, but a lot of people have brought that up. That
it never really took off.
Yeah. I remember a couple of Adam Hughes covers, but that's about it with Rose and Thorn. As
Yeah,
I never really read it or whatever. This this is more of kind of like I always found the Ditko. I tend to say Ditko Spider-Man. I found the Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic to be pretty interesting because Peter Parker, before he started marrying supermodels and stuff, he's a really, if you read the earlier Spider-Man books that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko wrote, he was a really, really kind of nerdy, like a wallflower shy. And then when he becomes Spider-Man, it's just like a completely different person.
he does. The mask lets it out.
Yeah, and that's where I got this idea of splitting the personalities because it's really two different people inhabiting kind of the same body. So this is what I was trying to do with this Jenny and Arachna character. Jenny is very kind of shy, introverted, very kind of conservative in thinking, and then Arachna is kind of like the complete opposite, where she's alpha. It's just a completely different personality from Jenny, and the two, like Jenny will read like something that Arachna does, and then she gets upset at what she's doing. She doesn't like the costume. She feels like it's revealing or whatever. And then Arachna doesn't like Jenny because she's kind of like a wallflower and kind of. So it tends to make some interesting. It'll make an interesting story, not giving away too much of the plot, but there's a point in this book where the two personalities have to kind of make peace in order to defeat kind of the big bad in this book. So that'll be dealt with in a pretty interesting way.
All right, so I'm seeing that it's a 48-page graphic novel. Is that subject to growing with any stretch goals, or?
Yes, this was the first time I've ever done a crowdfunding campaign, so I wasn't sure what we're going to get or not. But if we go past a certain level, we're going to add 6 more pages to it, and they'll kind of add a little bit more backstory to the Jenny Arachna persona.
I don't think that's possible to add 6 more pages. I think you have to add them in units of 4.
Is it 8? Yeah, is it 8?
Yeah, it's like 6. So like one page just kind of stuck.
Yeah. Probably gonna be 8 pages, but it's
pinups cover that up. You can just add 2 pinups. You got 6
I think
pages.
that'll be a little bit cheaper to go that route.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier too. So I'm seeing 3 different covers here. That's why I had to check the page count, because a lot of times, the mock-ups here, they look like it could be, wow, that's like 85, 100 pages there. But that's just the mock-up, obviously.
Yeah.
48 pages, are you going to go square bound? So I see you put a spine on the image. So,
we're not going to do staples. I believe the term is perfect bound. I'm not sure, but we're going to.
Okay. That's another thing I didn't know you could do with just 48 pages. I thought that had to be like 60 pages before you had enough of a spine to actually go perfect bound. I could be wrong. I have not published it.
No, I looked it up because I was trying to figure out what the pricing of these things are going to be. So it was perfect bound. So
they used to call that prestige format back in the day when they first started coming out. So this is the, I guess you would call it the main cover.
Yep, that's done by Carlos Granda, who is a tremendous artist. He's also the interior artist. And I also want to say on this cover, I was lucky enough to work with a cat by the name of Maxim Strelkov, who is a colorist in the Ukraine, and he's just done a phenomenal job on the colors of this book.
We're going to get to those interior pages too. I know I've been sitting on this for a while trying to get these covers out of the way. You've got, is it 4 different covers, 5 different covers?
Oh, keep going. There's plenty. I think there's a total of 9 covers.
You reach a point of saturation with variant covers, but the thing that stands out to me is that they're all the same price. You don't, have this increasing say, oh, but if you want this guy's cover, then it's going to be, $30 and, $35 for this one. That is a lot of covers. But, it looks like people are picking what they want out of each one. You get the cosplay cover here. So this is, I'm going to click it and see. You get all the unlocked stretch goals that we'll get to. This one comes with the metallic bookmark, the graphic novel, and a signed 5x7 photo. Wait a second. Is that on all? That's not on all. So you're actually getting more on this one for the same cost.
Yeah.
Well, goodness gracious me. That's that's a seller. Are any of the others, like that? No, they're all the others are just like, here's the book, the bookmark, and the stretch goals.
That's the only one that has the cover. Photograph.
Yeah,
photograph.
That I was just looking to see if any of them had any other extra things specific to them. But so this is, you get a little bit extra for the same cost. Love this. This has got some J. Scott Campbell vibes coming to me off of it.
This was actually the colorist idea was to remove the background, and then Marty, who's the writer, really liked he likes minimalist covers, so he likes white backgrounds with just the character, and I think that came out pretty nice.
It does look, and you know what those are good for, since we're talking stretch goals, and I haven't read them, so you probably already read stickers.
Yeah,
that makes a great die cut sticker when it's blank. $25. This is not the book. This is a perk. You get the personalized message from Sam or Samantha as Jenny or Arachna, your choice. Someone's going to have to really fall in love with Jenny, I think, to go that route. But what is this personalized video message?
So this is, I go on Facebook, and I just see a lot of cameo.com things, right? So it's like Gary Busey or David Hasselhoff, and like cameo. So I started looking into that, and it's essentially like you give them X amount, and these people will do a whatever you want for them, a greeting, hello, hi, or wishing you birthdays or whatever. So that kind of idea came out of that was, what if we did something that either Jenny or Arachna would leave a message? I'll kind of leave it up to them in terms of like how the message is going to be. Obviously, Arachna is going to leave a much different message than Jenny would. So I think it was just kind of like this kind of fun thing that I wanted to kind of try out as a perk.
Well, obviously, two people have claimed it. Doesn't even come with a comic book. They just want that video. So now I'm noticing that they're all kept fairly simple here too. I mean, it's like, here's the book, and the thing that comes with it. Here's the book, the thing that comes with it. Are you using the add-on capability of Indiegogo when you check out? Say, okay, I really wanted to get this book and this book and this book, or do they have to go back at multiple times to do that?
I honestly, when I was setting this up, I didn't see that. There was add-ons within specific perks, like the one with the two favorite covers, and you can put this, and that'll save you shipping costs.
Sure.
But it was doing some weird things where I couldn't do it on the three covers because it said it just wouldn't let me put those different options in there. So again, part of this is kind of like figuring out how Indiegogo works or whatever. But it's just I think you just have to buy it as one thing. I'm not sure about the add-ons. There's a couple of things I did add on to.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are doing that, and you check out, and pretty much after you've checked out, everything that was available plus other stuff is like, do you want to add any of this on there? And Indiegogo will pop it up, and you can just click the box, say throw on one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these. I don't know how to do it. I've not run one, but I've seen them out there, so I know that someone can help you do that, and I know that you can do that after the campaign has been put up. So I know a lot of this is immutable. Once you've gone, you can't change the descriptions on stuff, but the add-ons you can definitely change. So this one is this is a 16 by 20 rolled poster. That is very cool because that's a big picture. In fact, I would wager to say that it's bigger than what the scale is of this guy holding it here, because I've had 16 by 20 posters, and that you get your arms out.
Mhm. Well, I'm a big fan of what Mondo does. Mondo tees with their posters and stuff. So I want to kind of have a art print poster type thing available as part of the perks in this campaign. And I thought this was a good poster to do it with. Image.
Yeah. And you got the T-shirt. Again, it's just the shirt. It's not like a bundle pack where you got to like, what did I do? I get everything with this one. It's very clear and straightforward. That you're going to get a bookmark with whatever one you pick, and all the stretch goals that get unlocked. But other than that, what you're seeing here, I like that. I like that approach a lot. You don't really bundle anything till it's like pick your 2 favorite covers. That's perfectly understandable. It's not like you get the shirt and the hat with this one, but you only get the hat and the glove with this one. I don't like when you got to dance around to try to find just the perfect, just the perfect tier. Pick your 3 favorite tiers. Saving $15 going this route because it'd be 75 down to 60. And this is all the covers here in a bigger picture. I'm just going to focus on these. Let people take a look at Carlos Totoli. This is that 3D CG one that made up the intro video that I think is just really it's gorgeous. I mean, the background, the big moon behind her.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a moon in a shot that I'm using for somebody's video, I'm like, I know what's going over the moon. I'm going to replace that.
Yeah, and again, like things like the gargoyle, when I was talking to Carlos about this, it's like there's certain things I wanted, and it's kind of like there's a Spiderman feel to it. There's a Batman type feel to it.
There's a White Widow kind of feel to it.
Hmm?
There's a White Widow kind of feel to it as well. I'm assuming this is going to be an ongoing, is how you're looking at this, or going as long as it possibly can.
The Arachna story.
Yes.
Yeah. So we already plotted out the second one, me and Marty, and that's pretty much 100% almost ready in terms of we're almost ready to start writing it. I just want to make sure that we kind of get past this thing here, which seems like we are. Knock on wood. But yes, I can plot it.
So for $60, you got a deluxe hardcover edition. That's going to be pretty cool. You get the 48-page graphic novel with the Carlos Totoli cover, photos from the Arachna shoot, because you didn't just say pose for the cover, got it.
Yeah, no, it was a full day shoot with Samantha. So we shot a lot of pictures, and we also shot a lot of video. So
I bet.
I wanted it to have kind of like, I'm a big fan of like absolute editions. I'm a big fan of collected hardcover editions where you have like, it's almost like kind of like a director's cut. So you have the story, and then you have all these extras. And I think that's the reason for this. I just didn't want to make a soft cover and a hardcover. I want to give that hardcover some extra oomph to it.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's first of all, you need the extra pages for the hardcover to actually hold it, I think. Just for the binding to physically work. Now this is the the mega pack. If you just simply cannot make up your mind, and by golly, who could? They're all gorgeous covers. $150. I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, but I'm pretty sure that 25 times 9 is a lot more than 150.
Yeah,
so,
I think this is a 35% off.
Yeah, that's a deal right there. Estimated shipping October 2021. For crowdfunding, that's in crowdfunding years. That's right around the corner.
Yeah. I've seen some horror stories in crowdfunding where when I was kind of researching out other campaigns, and it was like it's been like 2 years, 3 years, and the product still hasn't been delivered yet.
I can point you to at least 2 of them that are 6 years.
Wow. So that October number is based on what we were able to do with Carlos and how many pages he was able to complete, plus have Maxim and Helica color and letter them, and then kind of say, all right, well, it took him 8 pages. It took him this long to do. Here's how the other 40 pages will go. So it's kind of based on that. And I added some padding into that as well. So I'm confident. Listen, you can something can always go wrong. Nobody predicted a pandemic last year, but I think we'll hit that October 2021 deadline. And if we do, I think it's a good sign for future books because, as a backer, I think that would be one of my biggest concern is that are you gonna deliver this and listen, a month or two or whatever, that's not a big deal. But when you're talking years, like I don't understand it. I'm in the marketing field. We have deadlines every day that we have to deliver on. I don't understand. I take it very seriously that if somebody has given us X amount to back us, that they deserve the best in terms of not just the product itself, but the delivery also.
Yeah.
So
Mike Tierney from our LCS guys show is a retailer in Arkansas, closed his shops right now. And he's on every other Saturday, and you can find him this Saturday when he comes back to the LCS guys show. But he has this term that he refers to called the expiration of expectations. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happens when you have a crowdfunder that, goes on, and then suddenly it doesn't fulfill. And suddenly you start getting these little requests for refunds. That nobody wants those. You want to get the money and then return a book back.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I don't know if you went into the updates and stuff, is that I want to make regular updates in terms of where we are with this book. So knock on wood, it gets funded. I'm hoping it will, but just to let the people who believe in this project enough to support you, just to let them know where things are. It doesn't have to be every day or whatever, but listen, we're living in tough times right now, and if you can pay, if you can give 25 to get this thing funded, it may be a lot to some folks, and I just want to make sure that there's no concerns in terms of we're taking this very seriously. When you look at all the stuff that we've created, there's nothing that's kind of like, I have not cut corners anywhere with any of this stuff. So, it's there's always going to be a learning process, but it's really important that we take the getting this book done and out very seriously. I can't stress that enough.
Regular, open, and honest updates will smooth over a lot of we're late kind of stuff. But since we're not late, and we've got plenty of time, why don't we go ahead and hit that anyway and find out exactly how much of this book is done, to give us an idea of what the odds are of being, on target.
Yeah, so the script is done. It's finished. 8 pages are drawn, colored, and lettered, so they're all done.
Okay.
The covers are all done. So essentially what's left is 40 pages to draw and color. And that's pretty much it. So
let's see. No, I'm not even going to bother doing that. That's doable. You 1/6 of the art is done. Yeah. And we were coming out of the 9-pack here. Everybody could get everything. Of course, you guys are not shying away from the naughty stuff. I don't know if the interior has any nudity, or is it being kept more
very little. It wasn't a nudie book. It was more of a adventure book. Very little nudity inside the book. I think that might change with the second one. Not that it's going to go full on crazy or anything like that, but just as when you're telling stories, and one of the things that kind of influenced me is the work of David Lynch, and what he does is he likes to, there's like the facade you have where you show people what you are, and then there's the interior. I think the more we start getting to know these characters, the weirder some things are going to get. There's no real nudity inside the book. No, a little bit.
All right, because it does get very sexy/sexual.
Yeah, and again, this the Arachna pinup. Again, I really like Alberto. I don't know if you're into, I used to be an illustrator, so I really like the work of Alberto Vargas.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the pinup style, George Petty, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like that, more kind of like playful kind of pinup from the kind of yesteryear type stuff.
Yeah, I see it as sort of like what I call rated U.
Yeah.
You know, it's above an R but below an X. It's sort of halfway in, sort of in between there, skirting that edge. And you can actually get some of the art from the book for $350. That's a very cool deal. You know, do they get to pick the? Oh, it's page 2. It's right there in my face. I don't even have to ask that.
Yeah, you know, we this is pretty interesting because usually artists don't really work. They really don't hand draw much anymore. A lot of them work digital, and I think it's pretty cool that Carlos still does hand drawn work. I mean, the pages are hand drawn, and then he does put them into a computer to kind of like fine tune some stuff.
Sure.
But I've bought some of the original art from him. I needed to have it for myself. But
you have the advantage on the rest of us.
Huh?
You have the advantage on the rest of us. You can see it first.
Yeah, I mean it's so beautiful because he's got like the blue lines, and then he's got like the inks on top of that. And I have some original artwork, but not pages. I have some stuff from like Neil Adams and Hildebrand and stuff, but looking at actual pages and it's cool to have.
I'm looking at the close-up here on Carlos Granda's work. Now that's over on the big side of the page. I'm getting, this is very much what Kevin Maguire was doing in the 80s. That's, just the quirky expressions, but realistic. Very comic, very sexy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Kevin Maguire. I was a big fan of Justice League run, and you're right. The faces were like kind of his thing, where I never seen anything like that before. He kind of
he was groundbreaking with it. So we're seeing the bigger version of everything else here now. Without getting too specific, what area of the country are you guys in, AI?
So I'm in Jersey, New Jersey.
Okay.
The company's registered in Delaware because there's tax breaks in Delaware when you're an online entity.
Register in Vegas.
Huh?
Register in Vegas. Everyone else does.
Oh yeah. And then Marty's from Finland. Carlos, I believe, is from Colombia. Helika and Maxim, who are the colorist and letterer, they're from Ukraine. Tyre, who's the character designer, he's actually in New Jersey also. So it's a pretty diverse crew of people.
Yeah, very decentralized, which we can be in the world today. Reason I ask, because I'm always thinking of ways to promote other people's books when they're on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why am I not making money at this? But our wrench in the chat, and the guy who actually referred you to us way back when in the first place, Heroinberg, does a comic book that's more like AC's FemForce, and he supplements that with what you had in your video there. He's got these cosplay episodic adventures.
Yes.
And I bet he would be very happy to talk to you about doing an Arachna Heroinberg crossover. Not necessarily the comic, but like a video where people could, who tune in for his videos could be like, who's this Arachna person? Oh, she has her own book over here.
We've been emailing.
Never mind. He's already on that track. Because I bet it would be all kinds of fun. How did you find Sam to do the cosplay? I mean, was there like an audition process? Did you see a bunch of
I wanted to find an actress for this role rather than a model. Usually you have models who cosplay. I really didn't want that because it's a difficult thing to kind of do two personalities and to have them kind of like switch on and off. So Marty wrote a little script for us, and then I advertised, got about 10 to 12 like people that I liked, and it was essentially, the audition was go back and forth between these two personalities, and I think Sam did the best job of it. there's a lot of things involved with that. There's things like voice, like how you change your voice, mannerisms, the way you talk. And it was just like a camera set on her. And she just went through these two things. And it was like, she was my first choice from the minute I saw her.
Plus the costume had to fit. So,
well, the costume was made actually in Italy. So it was, I kind of went all out for this thing. Listen, I was taking a big chance on this thing. So I'm probably going to end up losing money on this, even if it does make the whatever.
That was going to be the next question.
Yeah, I'm definitely losing money on this. But the thing is, it's whatever you do, if you're starting a brand or if you're starting a company, whatever, the first couple of years is always going to be a loss. And then you start making some money off it or whatever. This was more of, I'm at a point, so I called the company X53. And the reason why I called it X53 is I was 53-year-old when I started this company, and I had no idea what's going to come of it. So I just called it, X53. So the idea was, I'm at an age where I just want to try, I'm lucky enough that, I do have a full-time job and stuff where I can try something and see how it goes and take that chance. Because a lot of time people in their life don't take a chance here and there, and then they go, oh, well, what if I did this, or what if I did that, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to take a chance, create something that I would want to read, that I'm proud of. And I would put this book, again, like I said, with any book out there right now, in terms of art, writing, coloring, lettering, whatever. Even with this video, I wanted to make the video very, very, I wanted to make it cool, but I looked at the Berserker Keanu video, and I said, if we can do something that kind of can compete with this, it's like, you want to take your best foot forward with this thing. You don't want to kind of half-ass anything. So I had the costume made. We got Sam in as the actress, but then it's at the end of the day, if this works out, doesn't work out, I'm gonna be at least proud of what I was able to do. There's not gonna be any question that, oh, maybe I should have done this better, or maybe I should have done that better. This is kind of like my best foot forward with this book.
Yeah. Now there's nine different versions of the book that are available here, and we've already got a request for a 10th one. And I did notice this going in, because people do seem to like the digital tier, especially people who don't have space for comics or can't carry comics. And so George is in the chat here. And by the way, if you want a 3D print of Arachna, he's the guy to go talk to for your next campaign. If you want to have like little action figures of her, or maquettes rather, definitely reach out to him. But do you plan on doing any kind of a digital release of the book?
We weren't. This was a pretty tough decision to make. When you're talking digital, you're talking. There may be a lot of people in the world that might want this and don't want to pay the shipping. On the other hand, there's a lot of piracy, and I think that comes from digital. I don't know. It was a tough decision, but we decided not to go with digital this time around. Maybe we'll go digital next time around, or who knows? I might add something or whatever. But it was one of those things where it was like going between Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I mean, I really struggled with that. It was a really difficult decision.
Yeah, they're two different audiences, and you really can't find the dividing line of why. It's not like you say this kind of book sells better there. It's just, where did you get found, and where do they keep coming for you at? Because I've seen books that do really great on one, that they brought it to the other side, and it does nothing.
I'm not. It was really. So the Kickstarter Indiegogo thing, a lot of people said, boy, George really wants this digital.
George wants that digital.
um,
Make George happy. He can make you happy.
so where was I? Yeah, the decision between Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Right.
Part of it was I felt like there's a couple things. One is Kickstarter has this policy where they want to approve whatever and then put it up, and then they're gonna if you want to get on their projects we love thing, it has to go through like some sort of personal whatever. With Indiegogo, it's more based on algorithms. So if you're getting a lot of traffic to the page, if you're getting a lot of sales or whatever,
Sure.
It'll start putting it up into the recommendations, which is what I see happening right now. We're trending one on comics in Indiegogo.
Yeah,
And
well, when I started the show, I went out there and said, let me go open the page up so I can share it. And I went to Indiegogo and I started to search. I'm like, wait a second, it's the very first thing being recommended to me. I just had to click on it.
Yeah, so that part of it really I was trying to go for that because my background is marketing, so I can get traffic like through different channels to this page. The big thing is to have them convert, and again, we're kind of fighting a little bit of an uphill battle because we're a first-time publisher. But I wanted, part of this having this, so many pages done was to show people that this is not a project which is kind of like, oh, we might deliver it, we might not deliver it. There's a lot of personal, my own personal funding that has gone into this, so I don't want to see this thing fail. So I want to make sure we complete it. And this is a pretty cool page. This is this has like so when I talked to Carlos about this, this was Ken Adams' designs for James Bond, like the old James Bond Sean Connery movies. Island of Dr. Moreau. So you have like these weird like hybrids in here, and then also 2000 AD. So this is a pretty cool page showing his laboratory.
I like that the skin tone on the characters is slightly but not quite green because of the green lights in the room coming from here. You don't always see that. That's a level of detail that's really appreciated.
So this is the beauty of Maxim's color. He is just phenomenal. This is why I love the medium in comics too. So listen, I have a video background, but I'm not doing this to get like a movie deal or a TV deal or a streaming deal. I just love the idea of comics. So you have a writer, you have a illustrator, then you have a colorist, then you have lettering also, and all this kind of combines to make this one like it just makes it one kind of beautiful book. And Jack Kirby once said that his imagination doesn't have a budget or something like that, and you don't need a budget for these things. All you need is like your imagination.
So I'm just reading through here. This is a lot of the fun stuff that the fun sexy stuff that I see normally in something like starring Sonia Devereaux, where you kind of get a scene like this and then it cuts away. Mm-hmm. You guys play a little bit further than that, which I think is perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm adding this to my get list to read. You've been teasing this on Twitter for a while though, because it's like once I finally got you on, I'm like, wait, this is still just their first book. Seems like I've been hearing about this for a long time, which is all part of drumming up the interest, so that when you do launch, you go. Do you have a formula for that?
Sometimes it's a good lesson for people out there too. Is sometimes when things you don't expect happen, it ends up happening for the best. We were going to launch earlier, but we had to let go of the original artist on it, and then we thought we had found another artist, but he wasn't meeting deadlines, so we had to let him go.
Seems to be a trend tonight.
I don't honestly, I don't get it, man. Like I used to be a illustrator and freelance illustrator, and listen, I had a if you weren't taking work, there was no money coming in, so I don't get it. I don't get the mindset of that. Like, that was one of those lessons that we learned. But I think we ended up with a great artist in Carlos, and um, you know, his art matched with Marty's writing, because Marty's very descriptive when he writes panels in terms of descriptions, and when Carlos takes it, and it's a really cool marriage between the two. So and it's weird because like one's in Finland and one's in like Colombia, so when I look at the finished artwork, and when you kind of read the panels, when what Marty wrote, it's really interesting, like how kind of in sync they are.
Yeah, because you have to be an art director if you're going to be a comics writer.
Yeah,
Because the art is telling the story. So again, I just mentioned this last stream. You want to give your artist a creative head, so to speak, so that they feel invested in the project and they turn in their best work. But at the same time, you got to tell them this is how it flows and this is what's got to be there. So what is happening? We've gone 52 minutes and we haven't even talked about the story because the art's just been so cool. But the story does drive everything. So what's happening in this first issue where we meet Arachna, and what's going to bring us back to the second issue?
So without giving too much away, you're going to be introduced to Arachna and Jenny. Arachna obviously has not a superiority complex, but I think, because she's superpowered and things have, kind of come kind of not easy, but like, she's a superhuman. So dealing with just regular people, it's been kind of like giving her kind of like a big head. And this is going to get tested with who you're seeing here is Kumo, which is she is originally like the right-hand muscle for the bad guy in this book, who is called Doc Diabolique, and that's a call out to one of my favorite movies, Diabolique.
I was going to say this costume reminded me of Diabolique.
Yeah, but I really like that movie. But anyway, so Doc, they what happens is they end up capturing Arachna. They get a sample of her blood, and then Miko takes it, and she gets these powers also. And Arachna gets beaten up pretty bad after this, and she suffers kind of like a loss in confidence, and that's where she's going to have to try to get her, make peace with the Jenny persona, and I'll kind of leave it up from that. There is some subtle hints in terms of like the origin of this character. One of these two personalities is lying, so either Jenny's lying about the origin or Arachna's lying. So we don't know that. And then it ends with a kind of like a cliffhanger, which I really liked when I was reading like some of the old Avengers books and Fantastic Four books from back in the day. It always would end with a nice cliffhanger. Somebody in the shadow, and that's like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? So it kind of ends with that. Not that it doesn't interfere with the story, but it kind of progresses that story further.
If you just saw just enough, like the Fantastic Four just take down the mole man for the latest time, and then there's in the shadow, it says, "Finally, I shall have my revenge." And all you saw was an armored fist, and you're like, and you're coming back for next issue. But at the same time, you were coming back in 4 weeks for the next issue. Crowdfunding has not yet evolved to where that's something they can do.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things. The story's done, and the last page it kind of like sets up like a cliffhanger for the second one. Kind of like almost like these, like the Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's a pretty long cliffhanger.
That was,
and
little bit of a different paradigm there, but
yeah.
But I don't think anybody thought that Marvel wasn't going to come through with the next movie. It could have happened. If it had been like a year later to hit COVID, that could have been a disaster for Marvel.
No, it's so we have the second one planned. So knock on wood, we don't have too much to go on this one. We'll get this, we'll get this thing going. Miko looks amazing. Where the movie though? Where was it filmed? I'm not.
I have no idea where. I have no idea where it was filmed either. I remember the movie. I know Diabolique was a guy, by the way, but still, for some reason I was getting a Diabolique vibe off of there. While we're waiting for the answer to our trivia question for the night, the split personality aspect of the character. I'm curious if you can even tell me, did Jenny have the split personality before getting superpowers, or might it have?
Yeah, she's always kind of had these superpowers, so that's part of the origin type thing that it doesn't get addressed in this first issue, but it gets touched upon. So
right, but I mean, did she have? There was a period in her life when she didn't have the superpowers. I mean, she gained them at some point.
Well, for her, she's always seemed to have them. So
okay.
yeah. So like
one of the things
as far back as you can remember.
Okay, because one of the things that was introduced by Peter David when he was writing Incredible Hulk that I found absolutely fascinating was that he went back to the pre-Gamma Bomb days and revealed that not only was this Hulk character a manifestation of DID with Bruce Banner, but that it existed before the Gamma Bomb, and that he would go into these rages and fall into this mindless Hulk character. He just didn't have green skin and a huge amount of muscle behind him, and now he does. Yeah.
And I think this is going to be like in drips in terms of like how we kind of go back and forth between this thing. I just don't want to kind of, right now we kind of have 3 books planned, if not more, moving forward. But you want to kind of be a little bit more methodical in how you kind of let that origin story kind of play out.
So you're looking like a 3-issue arc, and then a compendium after that, an omnibus before you go into 4, 5, and 6.
I think so, but I just want to get the first one done first, and then we'll look at that. Listen, this has been like very exhausting because I do have a full-time job, and then on top of this, I've been doing this nights and weekends, and when this thing went live yesterday, I know Marty kept hitting the refresh button on seeing how many backers we have and stuff, and it just like exhausts you by the end of the day.
Yeah,
and it's not like I'm lifting weights or anything. It's just just mentally you're just exhausted by the end of the day.
By the way, we've gone up 4 backers since the show started here.
Well, that's good. That's good. So we're almost there. Knock on wood, we'll get past this thing, and maybe we'll put a digital edition for our friend. Get
George's digital version. Yes. You only have to release it under one cover. Just give it your prime cover, and I'm going
to give it the. You know what? Maybe there'll be. If we get to 100, then 100 backers. We'll create a. Maybe that'll be a stretch goal.
There you go. A digital tier option if you get 100 backers.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Do you read digital, or do you read? I like having an actual book to read.
I'm like Stan Lee. When he said comics were like boobs. They're fun to look at, but I prefer them in my hand. But I have, I've done enough of these AI in the last year to realize that there is a growing audience that's digital only, often out of necessity. Obviously there's your international backers who just simply can't justify the shipping costs that it would cause to get a single book overseas. Work with me on that later. That's our other business that we're branching into, is the shipping of comics. But then, we have people who are like people in the chat, like Robert Roberts here. He is, working up in the Canadian tundra on oil lines and stuff. He can't bring his long white boxes with him to put things in. So he's, basically probably in a trailer or a camper or some kind. So he has to get digital and read them on his devices to keep up with comics. There are people who just need that option. And I'll say that, every time George pops in a stream and we have somebody with a digital book, he backs the digital book when he's in the stream. So they're consistent with it. I can't say the same for Robert because he doesn't always tell me, but I'm betting he gets a lot of them too.
And let me ask you something, because this is a part of when I said there's a lot of influences on Arachna, and you mentioned something right at the beginning of the stream on that that banner you have behind you. Did you say you're doing the Destroyer?
Oh yeah, I've done the last 3 books on that series.
So that's Remo Williams, right?
That is Remo Williams and Master Chun, the Masters Emeritus of Sananju, the sun source of all martial arts. Yes.
Go up to the top of this page.
Where I had this.
Yeah. Do you know where The Adventure Begins comes from?
Ah, okay. Yes, I do. The 1985 movie with Fred Ward and Joel Grey.
One of my favorite films of all time. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
You walk like a pregnant yak. Yeah. Did you ever see the TV pilot?
I have not seen it. Roddy McDowall played.
Yes.
Chun in that one.
They doubled down on the whole, white facing of Chun. Yeah. And I have no idea who played Remo, but he was somebody with Rick Springfield's hair. It was a very 80s thing.
Yeah, my son's a big fan of Remo Williams, and he's only 14, and that's actually one of his favorite films.
Oh.
But
they're doing a new one.
Oh no, really?
Yes. It's it's in that development hell kind of limbo thing.
Well, let's hope it stays there, because I was gonna say one of the things was like, I was like, hey, what do you think of a reboot of Remo Williams? He goes, no. He just likes that movie the way it is, and it was done by it was directed by the director who did James Bond. Guy Hamilton directed that film.
Yes.
And it's Fred Ward was the perfect Remo Williams for me, and I don't want anybody else.
Well, he was Adam West was the perfect Batman for me. Whoever you saw first in the role often gets it. Although we've seen a lot of Hulks lately, and I guess none of them have been the best.
People get upset when they ask me who my favorite Batman is, and I said Adam West. I don't even think about it. I go Adam West, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "He was the Batman to me." Like, when you close your eyes and say Batman, he's the one that pops up. It's not Michael Keaton, or it's not Val Kilmer or Christian Bale, whatever. I just like to me that was Batman. And you say Wonder Woman, I'm always going to say Linda Carter.
And I always thought when the Michael Keaton movie came out, first of all, we're both 53, thereabouts. You remember all the brouhaha about oh my God, they cast Michael Keaton, he's a Canadian. Yeah. And I was reading that and I was like, these are people who have not seen Clean and Sober and Pacific Heights.
Clean and Sober, that I went to see that movie and in the theaters, and before that I think he was known as Mr. Mom or whatever it was, and he brought a range with him and anger with him in that Clean and Sober movie. It was I wish the only issue I have with that original Batman movie is I wish they would have used more of his range. I thought the Joker was a more interesting character between the two. And I think, Tim Burton was saying it's all in the eyes, and he really likes like what he sees from Michael Keaton's eyes and stuff. But I just wish they would have tapped more into that, more into his range as an actor, and the anger and the things that he could do.
Yeah. But one thing that they didn't do that I really wish they would have, and now of course it's obviously way too late. I really wish they would have cast Adam West as Thomas Wayne just for like a hat tip.
Yeah.
When they did it in Gotham, when they found the Penguin's father, they cast the same guy who was the Penguin's father in the second movie. They got Paul Rubens to play the character.
Yeah. I there's so many interesting things, but I just when you brought up the Destroyer, I was like, wow, that's
synchronicity. The director they do have attached though for the reboot or remake is Shane Black, who did The Nice Guys. So
wasn't he attached to the
Iron Man.
Stephen Peele Avengers also?
I don't know about that one. I know he did Iron Man 3, but I know I watched The Nice Guys specifically to see how he would handle like 70s grindhouse comedy action kind of thing. Serious action, less on the comedy, but it was there. And I was happy with it. I was like, if you do the Destroyer the way you're doing The Nice Guys, it will fit the books perfectly.
And he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang also, which was also very good. So
yes.
If it's Shane, Lethal Weapon, which is one of my favorite films of all time.
Well, now I got to check.
No, he wrote it. Sorry, he didn't direct Lethal Weapon. He wrote Lethal Weapon. That was like one of the first scripts he sold.
Yes, he did. But the thing I'm looking for, Googling is so much fun. The writer for Lethal Weapon 2 was Warren Murphy, the guy who created the Destroyer and wrote, a lot of the books. So there's a connection there.
This good. What did you think of the Remo Williams film?
Who, me?
Yeah,
I liked it. I mean, the fans were happy because they had a film and they appreciated it for what it was. I think there's a lot of them wanted to be a little bit more into the R version of it just for the violence. I mean, Remo doesn't curse. He's got his own set of language that he follows. But I think they want to just see more Sinanju in action. Seeing Chun race across the water at the very end, and then seeing Remo have to get to his bunk by doing the obstacle course. Those were the things they wanted to see more of. More Sinanju magic.
I felt like the chemistry between Fred Ward and Joel Grey was really good in that movie also. Yeah.
Chun evading the bullets when it was time. That was.
That's one of our favorite scenes when we rewatch it. It's like that when he sends them in to assassinate Chun, and he's just sitting there, and then like they have that. I don't even want to say fight because Remo gets his ass kicked by Chun, but that's like one of my favorite scenes in that film. And then the Statue of Liberty scene also, it's really good.
Oh yeah, because he was always afraid of heights, so naturally they had to put him on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah,
but the whole. I'm not so sure how I felt about Wilford Brimley being Smitty, because that doesn't even fit the character of the who's in the books. I mean, you've got this thin, gaunt man who dresses all in gray and is a colorless individual, and then you got Wilford Brimley who wants to tell you about the diabetes. He was a little too loud to be Smitty for me. But
one of the other influences I wanted to say is Batman I've mentioned, but Flash Gordon, that movie in the 70s with Sam J. Jones. That's also and that was actually written by Lorenzo Semple Jr., who wrote the Batman TV show. So it kind of has that. I don't know if you Lorenzo Semple Jr. did this a YouTube channel before he passed, and he was talking about Flash Gordon and Sam J. Jones, and he was saying how ridiculous it was for Sam J. Jones to save the universe. It was just like he was making fun of it, but
I don't know if it was Lorenzo or one of the other writers on the show, because I think Lorenzo was probably the head writer, so it might not have been him. But one of the writers was telling the story, and it's published in one of my Batman books, where he had to. There was an episode where a sheik was going to visit from overseas, and he said, I had to give this guy a name. So I took my best friend's last name, and then I mixed up the two streets that were the corner of the house where I was living, and it's like, okay, there's first name, last name, and I turned that in, and the editors were used to him getting away with shit, and they kicked it back and said, oh no, we know what you're doing. We don't get it, but we know what you're doing. Give this guy a real name. We're not going to, fight the censors with whatever you've got snuck into this. So he's like, okay, Sheikh Ibn Karab. And they're like, yes, that sounds Arabic. We will go with that. And it sounded Arabic because it was Arabic. It was Arabic for son of a bitch. And it made it's there. Pop the DVD in. It's there to this day. Here's Chic, son of a bitch, coming to visit Gotham. Some of my favorite Batman stories.
Have you met any of them? Like I had a chance to meet Burt Ward.
I have not. I've had to meet them by proxy. I mean, I was in mail communication with Yvonne Craig for a while, and I was fortunate enough to get her signature on one of the Batgirl photographs I have, and then she also signed. I had this photograph that was Robin, Batgirl, and Adam West Batman, all leaning over. She signed the center of that, and then I gave it to a friend who was going to a convention where both Adam West and Burt Ward were going to be. I'm like, here's the money, just get it done. So I got all three signatures on that sheet there.
Wow.
But I did meet Van Williams, and this was back in '89, who was the Green Hornet.
Yep.
And he was telling stories about the episode and the filming of the episode. Of course, Bruce Lee was there, and Burt Ward did all his own stunts, and Bruce Lee obviously did all his own stunts, and they were quite a different caliber of stunt doing. When they said, "Okay, time to fight," and the camera board would clap down, he said they had to take it several times because every single time Bruce just got into mode and he just charged right in, stomped. He didn't run in, but he just like marched threateningly, and Dick Ward was backing away, saying, "Call him off, call him." Dick, I said Dick Ward, Burt Ward, Dick Grayson. We just back. I was like, "Tell him to go back, tell him to go back." He wasn't ready to fight with Bruce Lee because Bruce was going to take him out.
Yeah, I heard that story. Yep, I heard that story with Burt and Bruce.
Well, Bruce was doing that all the time on the set of the Green Hornet. Van said, because he would like when he wasn't on the camera, he would be sitting off to the side, outside of everything. He'd just be doing these kicks. And one of the things he would do is he would try to see how close he could get to the cameraman's ear without touching him. And we're all like, Bruce, cut that shit out. You're going to miss. And he's like, I'm Bruce Lee. I'm never going to miss. And sure enough, he gave a kick. About the same time, some sound happened, and the cameraman turned and got it right in the jaw. So Bruce cut it out.
Yeah. You mentioned Yvonne Craig. That's like one of my big crushes when I was a kid, along with Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. Like those two were just awesome. Linda Carter still looks really good.
She does too. I've got a video just a little bit back in my history here, Sunday, because I was driving to where I'm at here from St. Louis, and I drove through Uranus, Missouri, and they have a fudge factory there. Because the best fudge comes from Uranus, and they will also wrap your nuts when they pack your fudge.
Nice.
Yeah, they do it all. But and the T-shirts there, I can't even say. But they also sold little souvenirs here, and this was just hanging up in the corner, and I'm like,
nice.
Oh, I am getting that. I had seen these before with other characters. I didn't know they made the Batgirl one. I'm like, yep, that's. I was just talking about this earlier to somebody else today. I've got a Batgirl collection by accident. It's sort of like the first convention I went to way back in the 80s. I always go Artist Alley and go to the people who aren't the big DC artists because I couldn't afford them, and just get a head sketch done. The first head sketch, they're like, "Who do you want?" I'm like, "Batgirl, 66 version, Barbara Gordon version." So he drew it up, and then the next year I went and I was like, "Let me get another interpretation from another guy." So I just got all these different interpretations of the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, and it's become like, if I were to frame it, they're all in the portfolio. If I were to frame them all and put them on the wall, it would look creepy. But as a portfolio, it's like, it's a body of work.
Yeah. It's just interesting when you're growing up and you have these like I really haven't had anything in the last few years where you go I wrote something on our Indiegogo page. I don't know if I wrote it there or where it was, but what happens is, like, if I haven't read anything from DC or Marvel that I will reread in 20 years.
Not lately, anyway.
No, and or even 5 years for that matter. But what I've been buying mostly is omnibuses or absolute editions, which are like from the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, and some 90s. And it's really,
The good stuff.
that's what some of this whole like the blandness in comics is like. Part of it is like, you had the Comic Codes Authority that really kind of limited creators back in the 60s through 80s or whatever it was. And
It did. They needed it to save the industry, but it outlived its usefulness.
Yeah, but like I read the Frank Miller interviews and how frustrated he was with that, especially when he was writing Daredevil. And I feel like nowadays it's like they're kind of self-censoring themselves or whatever it is. Like a part of it is this whole cancel culture where I think they're afraid of doing something that would get them canceled. But I don't see that. I don't see that. I don't see the experimentation that was going on in the. Listen, maybe I'm just from a different thing, but like, I was lucky enough where I was college age when Dark Knight, Watchmen came out.
Yeah.
That really changed the whole industry, and part of it was the shackles were off in terms of Comic Code Authority, right? So they didn't have to. It actually started the direct market pretty much.
The direct market was existing a little bit before then, because you could buy books and you could tell whether it was a direct market book or a retail book because of the barcode. The direct market books didn't have a barcode, and I contend that creatively it was a good thing that the CCA was removed. But the thing is, it was removed universally, and what that did in return was it took the books out of the Walmarts and the drugstores and the people who didn't want to deal with, a mom who comes in and says, my son's been buying comic books here since he was 4 years old, and now all of a sudden there's boobs, because they didn't want, they didn't want to deal with it. So it took them out, which, creativity went up, sales went down as an industry. I mean, you've had spikes on titles, but.
But in terms of just the creative, like the lasting impression of like what was created back then, it really kind of started that trend towards comics being taken, I guess, more seriously or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
That's kind of like where it started. Not that they weren't doing it before, and there was interesting. When you look at Jack Kirby's work, it's fantastic. When you look at Steve Ditko's work, it's fantastic. But really, like, I feel like that, what was it, like mid to late 80s, where this kind of comics really kind of took things a step further in terms of writing, I guess.
You got your Dark Knights, you got your Watchmen, you got your Miracle Mans. It was a kind of a renaissance. A lot of that renaissance was in the indie market as well. You had your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that come out, and that's we're in another renaissance now. It's just not affecting Marvel and DC in the positive fashion that the last one did. It's impacting them in a more negative fashion because they can't seem to. Well, they're not run by people who love comics anymore.
No, I think that's part of the problem with it. I also think this Indiegogo Kickstarter type things is really. I know it's more expensive, whatever, but this is really where I think if you want to read interesting, good stuff, which is going to challenge you or take risks, then I think this is the platforms where it's going to happen.
And it's the cost is going to have to come down, but the reason that the big comic book publishers should get the cost they get is because they've got the economies of scale. It's a lot cheaper to print 40,000 books per issue than it is to print 81.
Yeah. And they work for big corporations where I think part of that cost is helped with they have a lot of money in these corporations, so they can
they get paper subsidies and stuff like that. But when you get to the point where you're putting out Arachna 12 and you're getting 30,000 backers, well, then it probably won't cost $25 an issue anymore.
No, and hopefully we can get there. And knock on wood, I was seeing that it's up to 3,900, so we're 1,000 away from reaching our goal. So and I hope it keeps continuing. This is only step one. When you think of brands that get started, like Nike, everybody looks at like Nike now, but it started way back in, I believe, in the 70s. It didn't get to where it is right now. Like I can't compare myself to Cyberfrog or any of these other books because they've just been doing it longer. They've built up more of an audience. They also, I feel like they stand for something as well. So people kind of follow them because of whatever their beliefs are and whatever. But we can't go from. I couldn't put like $100,000 goal for Arachna because A, nobody knows us. B, we're a first-time publisher, and we got to build up that trust with the consumer base.
Sure.
So
well, you can put $100,000 goal on it, AI. You just put it on a sticky note and you put it on your monitor.
Yeah. But I just want to be kind of like, I want to be realistic with it. And I know I'm going to lose money on this one, but it's just at the end of the day, if I can have this book printed and say, look at what I created. This is that goes a long way. And listen, I've been in marketing and branding for most of my career. It takes time. So I think let's talk when we're on third issue of Arachna and let's see where we are. And if it's still the same, then we haven't done anything to improve it. But I'm guessing we're going to start building a good consumer base moving forward.
Yeah. So this is a question I didn't ask earlier because you are on the marketing end of this and you're doing the publishing. It's X53 Studios. You've got a writer, you've got an artist, neither one of which are you. So are you like a character creation and creative producer? What role do you have in the storytelling aspect of it?
So it's the telling of the story. I've worked with Marty pretty much every day now for months. So basically, I had this idea of a character. I got Tier to do some character designs. I know what I wanted. I wanted a spider character, somebody with spider powers. Going back to like one of my favorite characters that Marvel ruined was Spider-Woman. So that was like, this is like my big FU to them that says, if you want to do a Spider-Woman, this is how you do it. So we went through character concepts and stuff like that. Ended up liking a design. And then the story was, I wanted to tell a story. I kind of gave a synopsis of what I wanted to Marty. And then we worked on it together. So I wasn't, there's certain lines I want to put in that we got in there, but basically it was, here's what I want, and let's work on this. And then he would write pages. I would look at them and say, all right, like take this out, take that out, or whatever, or change this or that or whatever. Okay, so it's a pretty,
you're like a plotter.
Yeah. So it's a pretty, I've been, it's kind of been like my story that I want to tell here. I need a writer to tell that story. I'm not a writer, but I do know what I want in terms of a story. So yes, I think a co-plotter is what it would be. Even with the second book, we're talking about, not to give too much away, but it's kind of based on a plot of The Most Dangerous Game, which is a hunter who likes to likes to hunt people rather than, so that's kind of like the plot of the second one.
Man is the Most Dangerous Game. Yes, that was a high school literature class. We had to read that.
Yeah, and so he's written out a 48-page synopsis of the whole thing. So I haven't had a chance to look at it. I just, we just said like, let's do something with something like The Most Dangerous Game. And then I think the more comfortable I get with Marty moving forward, I think the more comfortable he gets with me and what I'm trying to do here, we'll find a good. I think we're already there. I think we kind of we're on Hangouts, Google Hangouts, and sometimes I'll post something and he's posting the same thing. So it's just weird. The synchronization we have right now with
your minds are synced up to the point that you've got it.
And in terms of art, I wanted something that was really good to look at. I'll tell you a story. Carlos drew Arachna a certain way, and I was like, "Listen, can you make her butt a little bit more,
Pronounced?
round, whatever?" So, but I leave Carlos alone, man. Like he does thumbnails, and there's nothing I've said where it's like change this completely or whatever. He is so on spot with the direction he takes from the script. So really the script is where it's at. Like we really kind of flush out the script first, and then we give it to Carlos, and then Carlos just does it. And there's nothing that we, once Carlos submits the page, that's pretty much it. Like there's almost no change because it's so specific in the script, and he's got such a good sync with Marty's writing that that's part of the process. I think we were working with different artists before, and he would hand in something completely different than what's on the script written.
That sounds like the last stream we just had.
Yeah, so it was, as a first time, part of me, like I am in marketing. I'm a manager, a supervisor. Part of what you want to do is you don't want to be micromanaging people. You want them to kind of let them do what they have to do, and give them the freedom to do what they have to do. So I was kind of like it's kind of weird because he was handing stuff that wasn't really matching what we were writing. This is completely different, where you look at it and you go, wow, like this is exactly the way we kind of pictured this. So knock on wood, we really lucked out with Carlos on this book. He had done God, it's not coming to Hirenberg knows what he had done before, but I looked at some of his earlier. He has a very kind of like a sort of a Alan Davis look to some of his work. Also, Kevin McGuire with the facial expressions and stuff.
Definitely that.
But I really Carlos Pacheco too, also a little bit. So yeah, I really loved his work. And then when Maxim colors it, it's like it just goes to another level, and it just looks really, it's really beautiful. Like what I'm so proud of this book, like what we've been able to do with it.
Yeah, it's now, is this the opening page?
This is the second page. This is the first appearance of Arachna. This is how she starts out. This is her first, this is her introduction to the book. There is a first page where there's a little bit Jenny, Arachna's kind of like calling Jenny. So the costume's a trigger point for her to switch personalities. So there's some interesting things that we put in there as well, without giving too much away with how the two talk to each other. Also, with the second book, they're going to be recording messages a little bit too.
That's to communicate to each other.
Yeah. So, but this Gorian, who's a cross between a boar and a human being, that was a pretty interesting character as well. This is one of Doc's experiments. He loves to combine DNA and stuff. And this is Doc here. You don't see a whole lot of them, but and Miko also. So the thing with Doc is I wanted to kind of give him a little bit more. Sometimes a bad guy's a bad guy, and that's it. There's an interesting few pages in the book which kind of goes into his background and what he what he's like, which people aren't really gonna. I think they're gonna be a little surprised by. So.
I like his assistant. His assistant is always it's the first time she's got her face right there in the chest, and she's like,
yeah, Miko's a free spirit, and there's And in this book, she's very kind of like happy-go-lucky up until a certain point where things you see what she really is. And I can't wait for people to read this book to kind of get to know these characters a little bit more. I think, sometimes you think a character a certain way and then you just kind of do a flip. Um, and she's a pretty dangerous person. I'll say this. Miko's not as well. She is happy-go-lucky, but once she turns into Kumo, you're gonna see a completely different type of character. She's gonna be she actually ends up being the big bad in the book.
Oh, more so than the doc. Okay, so she's not the
Yeah.
assistant. She's the student shall
Well,
become the master.
Yeah, and I love what we're doing with it. I love the story, and I think it hits a lot of if you're interested in superhero books, yeah, Geek Girl, that's the one I was thinking about. You're gonna like this. If you are interested in fun books, you're gonna like this as well. Humor, adventure, all these things. I try not to take, there was this whole thing of where comics became too serious, and I love Miracle Man. I thought that's one of the best books ever written. But and I love Watchmen, but I think everybody started copying this and made superheroes very kind of grim and drab and
Well, sure, they wanted the money, and they thought that was the way to do it.
yeah, and
They thought that the way to do it was through a grim story, not a good story.
yeah, but it got rid of the fun and the wonder of things. Like when I was a kid, not that I'm going to jump out a window or something, but like the idea of climbing walls or flying like Superman or something, that was like escapism, right? Like
Yeah.
Another thing that bothers me nowadays, that everything has to be like realistic, or well, that costume's not realistic, and they're climbing walls, like that's not realistic either. So I mean, give me a break. Like it's comics, it's adventure, it's a sense of like it's a sense of wonder. It's not about realism.
I was born in May, so my birthstone is an emerald. I had this little ring that had an emerald birthstone in the middle of it, and I can't tell you the number of times that I just looked around and said, maybe this time, and just tried to will power a green beam to come out of that ring.
Yeah, and it's just like you just want a fun, you want escapism, right? So that's the other thing. I also say this, like politically, this country is like very divided right now.
You think?
But yeah, there's no politics in this book. I don't, when you set yourself up one way or the other, you're alienating half the people. So it's really an adventure book. It's a fun book, and when you read it, hopefully you can lose track of what's going on in the world and escape into something. And that's what this book's really about. It's escapism. And
Well, you're at 3967 now. 83 backers, or as George likes to call it, 17 away from getting his digital copy. So,
I gotta say, I'm impressed with Indiegogo for pushing this as much. A lot of the backers are coming from just like Indiegogo's homepage or search pages and stuff. Like Indiegogo provides you with insights on these campaigns to see where the conversions are coming from. So it's cool to see that this is what this platform is for. It's for people who don't have that name recognition, and they can create something and get it funded, and hopefully we can get some new voices going in this. If you're a Keanu Reeves, you're gonna have no problem funding whatever it is you're gonna do. But I think this is literally the idea for these crowdfunding campaigns came from, hey, I got an idea and I want to fund it, and I don't have the backing I don't have millions of dollars, but let's just kind of try to get this done. But yeah, I think looking at this picture, it's really nice. Carlos does a really nice job on this cover.
Yeah, you're going to ship. You need to be prepared now to fulfill. So I don't know how much you've explored the logistics of that, but we can talk about that later. But I think we've discovered enough about Arachna to make her sellable.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get in on this one, and I'm picky because I don't have infinite funds for one thing.
Yeah. I do feel like, if we're in this age now where, it used to be like if something is $4 and that's all people are going to pay for it. I think we're in this time now where if you make something that people really wanted and maybe it's more expensive, maybe it's 3 times, 4 times more expensive or whatever it is, people will get it if they believe in it or,
Yeah, they will.
So I think that's why these crowdfunding campaigns are successful. Like, if you can connect with a certain group of people who really believe in whatever you're trying to do, I think they will back you for it. So yeah, I agree with Hero and Bargear.
Yeah. All right, so folks, if you have not been impressed enough by Arachna, you should go spend more time looking at the pictures and reading the pages that are produced here, and you can do that by going to the link to the Indiegogo in the description below this video, and click on it and get out there and back it. It's not expensive in comparison to frog books and other stuff that are out there that you've already backed, I'm sure. And it's got some really good art that you're not going to get art like this out of any comic book with DC or Marvel's distribution levels. I don't know what is wrong with the publishers these days, but they're not getting. I'm not going to say they're not getting good artists. They have some really good artists there, but they also put some Tumblr level flats out that you have to wonder how these people got a job in the comics industry. DC's young adult stuff is pure trash.
I agree.
I mean, you've seen that Nubia Real One Wonder Woman book. That's horrible. And they kind of quit talking about it too because they saw everybody telling them how horrible it was. Like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of is. But this is the stuff this is the stuff that everyone says, hey, this was the 80s, this was the 90s, this was when comics were in their golden age, our golden age of comics. Yeah, I've seen enough. Get this one, guys. It's got my full-throated, don't mean it like that. It's got my full support. So definitely get in on this one. AI, it's been good having you on the show. Is there anything else about this book that I haven't managed to touch on with all the talking we've done on it?
We have a stretch goal of a movie, which I'm not sure we're going to get to or not, but that is a
$100,000?
No, it was $50K, but that was, by the way, any of these stretch goals, if we meet it, they're going to get these for free. So this was part of it where we would do a movie, like a 15 to 20 minute adventure film with
I didn't even
Sam,
see the stretch goals. Well, how did I miss the stretch goals? It seemed like I got down to all the tiers, and then somehow I missed. Okay, here they are. They're stretch goals. First one, look, you're the first person I've ever seen to have a $0 stretch goal. The free Arachna metallic bookmark to all backers. Just boom, done. Here you go, bookmarker. 5,000, which is basically funded. A free Arachna trading card to all backers. This one's nice. I like this.
So that card is kind of throwback to the 90s Marvel cards.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. And then 10,000. This is the short video clip conversing in an intro. Okay, this is like the this is like your audition tape that you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so for 10,000 you get this. For 50,000 you're going to get a movie, folks. Get out there and tell your friends to get in on this one. Yeah. 15,000 you get the other card. You'll get the Kumo trading card. So I just love that. That's a quirky face, but it's not a stupid face. It's not an unbelievable proportion, cartoonish look.
Yeah,
it's just her being silly, and you can do that. 20,000, you get the cosplay trading card featuring Samantha. Very nice. And I like he's got Jenny Janis on the back here. Maybe a little on the nose with the last name there, but if you don't get it, then maybe not so much.
Give you a hint, Janus Films. They have that logo.
Yes, they do. But I was thinking more along the lines of the fact that, she has two personalities.
Yeah.
25,000. All backers will get a short video clip with a PSA message on the importance of brushing and flossing your teeth.
That was inspired by the Captain America PSA in Spiderman.
Oh, she's going to do the chair scene.
Yep.
Okay. I take back my eye roll. And at 35,000, she will go from a 48-page graphic novel to a 54-page graphic novel.
56
page graphic novel. You got to think about how these things lay out. That's 50,000. Yes, here it is. The big kahuna of all stretch goals. All backers will receive a short 15 to 20-minute action film starring Samantha as Arachna. I want to see her doing some damage to some bad guys, getting into trouble fighting crime. This is the one stretch goal you've been waiting for. Yeah, an indie film. You can do so much in 15 minutes. Have you ever seen the Sandy Calora Batman Dead End film?
Did that have one of them with Robin also, or no?
That's Grayson. That's also excellent. I wonder. I'm not going to snipe it because as sure as shooting as I do, it will cause me to get a strike, even though it's another YouTube video. But no, I paused it. But I've got the link here. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you haven't seen this, you really need to. This, in my mind, this captured Batman better than any actor on the screen before Ben Affleck. And I'm talking costume-wise and action-wise. Mm-hmm. It's just, it looked like an Alex Ross Batman had come to life. Mm-hmm. And it was just a fantastic. Now it was a demo reel. He was a college student. He was wanting to show what he could do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what Sandy Calora is doing now. He should be in Hollywood making pictures by now with this. But it was a Batman and the Joker, and then suddenly there were Alien and Predators. And it was going to get, and it just ends on a cliffhanger. But yeah, you were talking about the Grayson movie.
Yeah,
which I have downloaded. That one would have been a good film.
Yeah.
Where he kind of becomes, he has to get back into the game after Batman's killed. Is that the one you saw?
Yeah.
We're
in a place now where we can do stuff with technology, right? Like when I look at some of these deepfake videos and these guys that are just kind of doing it, they're doing it better than studios at this point. I saw this horrendous Coming to America, that sequel. By the way, the first film was fantastic, and they really ruined it with the second one. But they did this de-aging of Eddie Murphy. It looks so bad on a small screen. And I look at some of these videos on YouTube. There's an interesting one where this guy de-aged Robert De Niro for The Irishman, and they compared it to the studio version. And it was like a night and day difference. It just looks so much better. And like these people have access to this stuff where you can really do some interesting things. That you don't have to have that, huge budget or anything like that. So I'm hoping, listen, it's a real stretch goal, but if we do get there, we would hire a film crew to do this. And,
It'll be a
pretty cool film. Yeah, pretty cool. And I would adjust the costume also. There's some feedback we've gotten on the costume, where one thing is to take something that's a drawing and make it into a costume, but then there's then it does come into some there's things we can improve with that costume, which we will do as well.
It's not as shiny. It's not as shiny material as like I'm still impressed that it looks like the costume. I mean, how do you get somebody to actually make a costume off of a drawing like that? I wouldn't know how to get that done. Turn it in. If you turn it into leather, suddenly you're playing into Roger Corman territory. and it's like Black Scorpion or something.
Yeah.
Not there's anything wrong with Black Scorpion. I love the
No,
hell out of it.
I have the DVD box set of Black Scorpion. That's like one of my. I think that came the closest to that '66 Batman TV show. You know, I always wondered
have the
how.
movie.
Yeah, they've never seemed to have replicated that show. Because it's such a weird show that where you, as a kid, you can just watch it a certain way. As an adult, you look at it and you notice the humor in it. It was just like a really great show. Like, I don't know, but they haven't been able to recreate it.
No, they haven't. And they've tried. I mean, they did. What was that? Was it Once a Hero? Was a television series. It was the superhero came out of the comic book world, and he was friends with some kid. But the thing was that when he entered the real world doesn't have superpowers, so neither did he. And he was still trying to be Captain. Oh God! Marvel actually did a comic book with him on it. I think it went one whole issue. But I can't remember what his name was now. It was that memorable yet forgettable. More fun for me was the Hero at Large with John Ritter.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You remember that one? Yeah, I want to find that one on DVD sometime.
What was her name? Ann Archer. She auditioned for Lois Lane in the Superman movie, and I think she was one of the runner up for
cool.
it. Margot Kidder ended up getting the role, but yeah, I remember that Hero at Large. That was fun.
Yeah, it was like
the Spirit show too, but that was with Sam J. Jones. That wasn't any good. Electro Woman, Dinah Girl, that was more like a Saturday morning type thing. But
yeah, the remake wasn't any better.
Oh, that was awful. That was awful.
Yeah, it was horrible remake.
Yeah,
because it was what was like she like a drinker and a smoker and a hard life. Now I feel like trying to get a new Dinah Girl.
So wrong, man. The only thing I've seen where they really get this kind of like when they update something is that Karate Kid, Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
they seem to respect that. The material, and then they add something to it, but it's really tough to do, man. Like usually when they do like that Electro Woman, that smoker, like what was that? Like it has like nothing of what if I'm interested in that show, like I like the original Electro Woman Dinah Girl. I didn't even want to, I think it was like a pilot or something, but I was able to get it somewhere, but it was awful. Like, yeah, I think you have to have respect for that material, and then you have to add something to it. And it's a tough thing to do, man. Like, but unfortunately, we just get stuck with some crappy stuff.
Well, we're making up for it by making some really good stuff in comic books. At least you guys are. All I do is ship them and promote them. I'm just going to reload it one more time just to get a drum roll in my head going here. See, did it change? 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 I like watching them change while I'm on stream. Oh dear.
Wow, we're almost there.
You were only 15 more backers, George. 1,900, 5,000. That's going to be gold.
I know we're coming up on 2 hours, but there's a site called BackerKit, and you could put in a campaign and you see how they do.
Yeah.
And usually the first day is like the highest, and then the last day is like the highest.
They're all like that. Yes.
We are very close to yesterday's numbers, so knock on wood. Let's keep going with this campaign, and the more people find out about it, the better I think it's going to do. I get a lot of people saying to me that I should be doing more of these YouTube live streams so people can find out about this comic, because they want people to find out about this comic. So the people who backed it. So
that's how it. That's what they say is the thing to do. Is you got to go promote. You being a marketing guy. Now, was there a formula you had in mind? Like, how long do you promote on Twitter before you launch, where you're just like, yes, this was the appropriate amount of time, or I can tell by these metrics that we've achieved the right sector of interest?
You just like it was a very kind of short time. Like, I was originally going to do it in October. First off, you got to look at, like, in terms of so data plays a lot of part in this. So in terms of launching projects, don't do it in November, December, January, or February. And then March and August are usually good months to do it. So that was like the first driving thing. The second thing was that I'm kind of like a perfectionist, so I wanted to make sure everything was perfect before you. This is a bad habit though. This perfectionism. I think it holds you back a lot. I just want to make sure everything was perfect when it launched. And then like I said, we lost that artist back then, and I was just like, it ended up being a really good thing that we lost that artist, because it gave us more time to build this thing. The email list around October was like around 100, and currently it's about 650 people on our email list. And we have 1,000 fans on or likes on Facebook. I think 300 something on Twitter, and then Instagram I don't put a lot of effort into, but that's around 120 or whatever. But I'll tell you, Indiegogo has been, in terms of people backing it, the fact that it's trending on Indiegogo, that's been the biggest boost for this campaign.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trending goal here on the backer tracker at BackerKit, and it's like, he's gonna fund on the 15th, but then I look over here. Where did I? Up here. It's last updated a day ago. This thing is a day behind, and you've gotten way more than 32 backers now. You've almost tripled that. Last night. So this is going to adjust this sharply up.
Maybe we'll get that film.
You just very well might. I mean, look at this right now. Yesterday you were on trend for this is obviously the median. But it's got this plus or minus margin of error, and your plus is it's touching 30,000. So after tomorrow, let's see what this thing says. You'll be funded by tomorrow night.
Yeah, and marketing is called building a tribe, right? So you have to get people, and this is what I like about crowdfunding, is you're going to get people who are really, really interested in this. Otherwise, why would you back this at this point, right? Yeah. And hopefully what they'll do is they'll talk about it and share it, and they're going to carry that flag for you. And that's what I'm hoping happens with this.
Well, that's what's also unique about the crowdfunding model, is that you always hear word of mouth is the best advertising, and certainly when you work in marketing. And I've only had my few classes when I got my master's degree, but it wasn't in marketing. There were side classes I thought would be fun to take. You try to get that fan base, or that customer loyalty, to where they are saying, gosh, my nails are just so dry and brittle. Have you soaked in palm olive? It works for me. You get them to talk about their product like that. But with crowdfunding, not only do you have the people who are saying, this is a really great book, you should back it, but they're motivated to do so because they're getting sort of like part-time pay to be your street warriors, where they're like, we're 85 backers. I've got to get 15 more backers and I'll get a digital comic. So, you go out and you try to sell something for this, pseudo commission that you're going to get back. You're like, yes, I got this to a stretch goal because I really wanted that sticker. It's amazing what people will work for.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big thing is building up that email list, and then if somebody's going to do this, I would say give it a good 6 months to kind of start promoting it, and build that list up, because I think that list helps the first day to kind of get some funding for the project. And don't, like yesterday was a very, very tense day for me, because it's like you keep hitting the refresh button and you say, oh shit, like where are we with this stuff? Second time, I think it'll be a lot easier because I've gone through this the first time. But it's the unknown, right? I was talking to my wife yesterday, and I was like, why do I do this? Like I gotta like, part of it is that I want to do this. I want to set these things up for my kids moving forward, so they don't have to work for corporations or whatever. and maybe I don't have to in a few years either. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that are just happy coming home, and nothing wrong with that, watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and that's what they want to do. But I've sacrificed a lot in the past few months to kind of get this book ready, going. There's, I'm not the writer or artist, but there's still working with people directly every day to get this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're co-plotter, you're director and producer on this thing, so you got
Yeah, I think producer is a good term for it, because it's like to kind of compared to like film or whatever. It's like you're putting the whole thing together and you're connecting everybody that is working for you. So there's a lot of strings that you are pulling on this stuff, but when this is done, it's going to be something I'm proud of. I'm so proud of what we've been able to do already with just the the covers, the pages, everything. I think it is a throwback to things we love. I know you're in kind of my age. I hope this kind of gives you kind of like a vibe of some of the good comics that we did read, but also is updated towards current times as well. So, I guess I'm just like one of those type of personalities that need to do something, and sometimes you got to challenge yourself, get uncomfortable, like with the things you're doing, and hopefully something comes out of it. And when I started this, it wasn't like I'm gonna do this and we're gonna do this and this is gonna happen. It's like it's a lot of hard work to kind of get to where we are here with this thing. And a lot of people are gonna say, well, listen, it's been 2 days and you're already kind of funded with a completely unknown.
That doesn't mean you stop.
Yeah, and you just it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work it is. Marketing this thing behind the scenes. Creating videos, cutting videos, working with a lot of different things, but it's just one of those things where everything that I've done kind of has helped in creating this moment right now. So it's you are tired, but then at the same time it is very fulfilling.
Yeah,
and the other thing is fulfilling is like these people backing you. They believe in you. They believe in this character, so that's also very fulfilling for me. So sometimes you do something and it falls flat and you go, oh shit, maybe I was the only one that cared about this stuff. So
now, how many streams have you gone on? How many other people's shows?
This is the first one. One,
dude. Okay, well, I'm honored, but you need to be talking to people who can actually sell books for you.
Well, if you got any recommendations, let me know. I
know a few people you should talk to, and I will reach out for you if you haven't reached them already. So, in fact, I'm looking some of them up now. I'm going to go ahead and sign off tonight. This has been fun. We don't usually go 2 hours talking about a book, but
it's been fun, man.
When the conversation demands it, we continue on.
All right. Well, I'm going to check out your Mike Byrne stream because I heard something interesting happened there. So.
Yeah, it's all in the chat. It's not on the stream. So,
all right.
Anyway, AI, it's been good to have you here, folks in the chat. Thanks for coming back over here. Definitely go out and give Arachna a look. I usually say, if you think it's something you like, maybe you should want to consider backing it. No, just go buy it. Pick the cover you like best. Pick the 2. Pick the 3. You're not going to go wrong with this one, I can tell. This one's got good 90s good girl art all over it. And you remember how many good girl comics there were in the 90s that you loved. This one will be the newest. And as always, we thank you for coming. And